What's happening, guys? Back at you with another video. So in this video, we're going to be taking a look at some 2022 movies. These are basically some movies that were kind of big surprises to me. Like, just surprise movies for me. And also, too, we're going to be talking about some movies that kind of disappointed me. So let's go ahead and get to it. Alright, so the year of 2022 has had some very good movies. It's also had some questionable, kind of bad movies also. So in this video, I'm basically going to run down a list of movies that kind of surprised me, whether it be like it was a surprise that I liked them or something surprising about them. And we're also going to be going down a list of movies that kind of disappointed me, whether it be like a slight disappointment on a certain thing in the movie or whether it be a big disappointment overall. So let's go ahead and get started with the surprise list. All right, so there was a few movies that actually did surprise me. Like I said, whether they were big surprises or some slight surprises that I had with the movie, or things I had with that were surprised by the movie. One of those movies that kind of surprised me this year, whether I didn't know I was really going to like it or not, but once I saw it, the movie in theaters, I actually did highly enjoy it, and that's going to be Bullet Train. Bullet Train was kind of this exciting, exhilarating kind of action movie. A lot had this kind of interesting story going on too, where you had to kind of follow details and things like that. But the thing that surprised me really the most was how much I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed this movie and seeing it in theaters. I was kind of questionable on it. I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it or not. The trailer looked interesting and all, but I wasn't really sure on how much I would enjoy it. After watching it in theaters, I highly enjoyed it and I highly liked it. And I even saw it again once it hit Netflix. So I gotta say, it's probably one of my favorite movies of this year. A big surprise too. So I had to put it on the list for surprise movies. Next up on the list is going to be Top Gun Maverick. Now, the thing about this movie was, it definitely was a big surprise. Now, I do like the first Top Gun movie that came out during the 80s. I'm not going to put like her on the list or anything like that to one of my favorites, but like I like the movie overall and stuff like that. But if you would have told me that sequel to Top Gun this many years later would have been one of my favorite movies of the year, I would have probably laughed. I would have probably said, I don't believe you or anything like that. But lo and behold, Top Gun Maverick did something that was unexpected. That was really surprising to me. I enjoyed that film so much. I really did not think I was going to enjoy that movie so much, and I really did. I like everything they were doing about it. In my opinion, it is better than the first one. I just like the overall experience that I had watching in theaters, and it was definitely a big surprise for me. So, yeah. If you told me I would have liked it this year, it would have been one of my favorites. I wouldn't have believed you, but nonetheless, it was. Next up on the list for me is going to be Avatar: The Way of Water. Now, I said before that I wasn't really the biggest Avatar fan. Like I seen the first movie whenever it came out the first time, and I saw it like again shortly after or whatever, And like I was saying before, I watched the first movie recently again before I went to go see Avatar: The Way of Water, but that took me about 9 or 10 years just to rewatch it. So it's not bad. The first movie is not a bad movie. It really isn't. But upon seeing the second one, I gotta say that it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing. I do believe it's better than the second. I do believe it's better than the first one. James Cameron did a lot of great things with this movie. I like a lot of things he was able to do with this movie, technology wise, and for the movie being visually stunning, it was definitely a cinematic experience to watch this movie. So I highly liked it, and honestly, after watching this movie, I'm definitely interested in the Avatar sequels more than I was before. So that's just some of the things that surprised me about this movie. The next one on our list is going to be Nope. Now, this wasn't like a super big surprise. It was kind of a slight surprise. The surprise for me for this one was I haven't really seen any of Jordan Peele's other movies that he's done, like Get Out and Us. I haven't watched those, but I decided to go ahead and check this one out and see how it was. Now, this one was just slightly surprising. It wasn't like a super big surprise. It was just slightly surprising. The surprise for me was that I actually enjoyed it. Like, I really did enjoy it. I really did like what he was able to do with this movie. I like different aspects of things he did in this movie. So really, this movie was like a slight surprise to me. Not super big surprise, but like slight surprise to me on how much I actually liked it. So he did a lot of great things in this movie, and I did enjoy it. Moving on to the next movie on the list is going to be Elvis. Now, the biggest surprise for me on this one was enjoying the movie. Like I didn't I figured I was going to probably enjoy an Elvis biopic sort of movie going into this, but I really did enjoy this movie. I really did enjoy this movie so much. But another big surprise for me was Austin Butler in this role playing Elvis. The way he was able to take on this role, transform himself into Elvis, and just go through different things. Voice changing his entire voice and persona and things like that, just to take on this role of Elvis. I was really surprised by how good he took on this role and how good he was in a role. Like, I was really surprised with that, and seeing that and on film and all that, and his portrayal of Elvis honestly was amazing. Honestly, was amazing. I think he definitely should be nominated for an award or something. And it was just a big surprise to me the way he was able to put himself into this character, or this role, and just go all out for it, and just enjoying the movie overall. It's a great movie, one of the great movies this year, I say. I highly enjoyed it. I highly did enjoy it. But Austin Butler was definitely a big surprise for that movie. Moving on to the next movie on our list is going to be Weird. Now, this is not like a big surprise either. This one was like a slight surprise. Basically, a slight surprise was that I highly enjoyed it. I like what they were able to do with this, where it's not a traditional biopic where you get, uh, like a biopic where it's like, it just tells you a straightforward story. This one was kind of a parody of. It was kind of doing a parody of biopics in a sense, so where a lot of things that happened in the movie weren't necessarily true or fact, or all that. It was basically a parody on the biopic overall, and just giving us certain aspects of the story of Weird Al Yankovic. And the surprise for me was just how funny it was, how much I liked it, how much I enjoyed watching it. And yeah, it was definitely a funny, great film that they had to come out this year, and that was kind of what the surprise was for me. Moving on to the next one on the list is going to be Prey. Now, Prey was such a good movie. It's really a return to form kind of Predator film. And the thing that surprised me on this was that, going off of some of the other Predator movies, I didn't really have exactly high hopes for this movie. I didn't really have high expectations for this movie. And I was just hoping, that they would do a good job. I wasn't really expecting them to. And the surprise about this was that they did an amazing job with this movie. I think they did such a good job, kind of having this more lower scale kind of movie, where we have the Predator and just basically, on a hunt. It's basically on a hunt, and we have this female protagonist that is just trying to survive and all that stuff. So we get like this simple story going on, and nothing too extravagant or anything like that. You get this basic story, but it works for the movie, and it works to where it turned out to be a great movie overall. And I liked it. I like the things they're able to do. So hopefully this is a good stepping off point for the franchise of Predator, to where they can make better movies, make good movies in the future. Moving on to the next one on the list. Now, this one was definitely a surprise for me, and that is going to be Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers. So we got the live action version of Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers this past year for 2022, and I did not expect to enjoy the movie that much. The trailer looked cool and all that stuff. Maybe I didn't really watch Rescue Rangers when I was younger. I mean, I've seen a few episodes here and there, maybe, but I wasn't really the person, or I didn't really watch too much of them. It was not something I would like typically watch when I was younger and all that stuff. So just going into this, I was just seeing what it's about. How the movie was. Seeing what's going to be like. But I have to tell you, I was surprised on how much I actually enjoyed this movie. I really did enjoy this movie. It was a great movie. It was funny. Had some great things in there, especially with the seeing Disney characters and things like that. Just and Ugly Sonic too. That was crazy. It was crazy how they pulled that off. And I think it was a funny movie. Honestly, it was just a fun watch. It was a fun movie to watch. It was funny and all that stuff. So I was just surprised really on how much I actually enjoyed the movie itself. Next up on the list, this is actually going to be two movies, but they're part of the same franchise, pretty much the same trilogy. Whenever we do get the third movie in 2023, sometime in 2023. But these movies are kind of paired together, and that's going to be X and Pearl. Now, I was surprised with this. These movies weren't really on my radar too much, but I was kind of hearing a little buzz about them, so I decided to go ahead and check them out, and I did, and I was surprised on how they were. These movies were definitely intriguing. They were interesting, creepy, and just overall good. I was surprised how good they were, and just how creepy and intriguing they were and all that. And honestly, they're just surprises for me on how much I was actually interested in watching the movie. Like, it kept you interested and all that. And that's really the big surprise for me. Movies that weren't really on my radar to watch this year, but after watching them, and while watching them, really. And after watching them, it was definitely a surprise to me on how interesting and creepy and just overall good they were. Moving on to the next one on our list is going to be Uncharted. Now, I heard a lot of bad things about this movie. I really did. Like going into it, I wanted to watch it. I did watch it a little bit late. I didn't watch it until like maybe a week or two ago. So I was kind of late to watching it, but I didn't really hear too many good things about it. I heard kind of mediocre things about it, and I didn't really hear. Heard that it was like kind of bad. I heard that just it was okay. It wasn't great or anything like that. So really, I didn't hear any high praise about this movie. So I watched it myself. Now, granted, I haven't played the Uncharted games. I haven't. So I don't know if that would change my perspective on it if I actually played the games, and it'll change my perspective on the movies. I do not know. I'm going off of solely watching the movie without actually playing the games or anything like that. So take that how you will. While watching this movie, it was on Netflix, so I decided to go and check it out. While watching this movie, I wasn't really expecting much, or wasn't really expecting to like it or anything like that. But by the time I finished watching this movie, I was like, that's actually not that bad. Like I said, granted, I haven't played the game, so I don't know exactly how much of the story they took from the games themselves. But the movie by itself on its own merits actually was a fun watch. I actually enjoyed watching it. This duo of Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg honestly worked for me. Honestly, it did work for me, and the movie was just a fun, exciting watch, really. So that's really what surprised me about this movie was like I didn't really expect to like it, but after watching the movie, I actually did enjoy watching it. It was a fun watch. It was an exciting watch. I actually did enjoy watching it. So that was the surprise for me. All right, moving on to the last movie on the surprise list, and that is going to be A Christmas Story Christmas. Now, the thing with this movie was, y'all already know the original movie, which is A Christmas Story. It's not a movie I watch every year. I'll watch maybe once every 2 years, once every couple years. I'll put it on for Christmas time, or if it just happens to be on while I'm scrolling through TV or something like that, I might check it out or something like that. But it's not typically one I watch every single year. Um, every other year I might watch it, something like that. But I mean, I like the movie. It's a good movie and all that. But it's not typically one that I put on every single Christmas. I'll put on maybe this Christmas, wait a year, put it on next Christmas, maybe put it on the next Christmas after that, something like that. It just happens to be like if it's on TV, maybe I'll watch it and things like that. And I heard about the sequel, and it wasn't really a movie that I was expecting to check out, really. Um, I wasn't like highly excited for it. I wasn't really highly anticipated for it, and it wasn't really a movie that I didn't really plan on checking out. But I heard a couple things. I heard a couple of people saying, "Oh, it's actually pretty good," and check it out and stuff like that. So I decided, okay, I'll check it out and see what happens. The surprise with this movie was I did not expect to like it, and I actually ended up liking it. I like this, the way they were able to tell this story. It's being told from Ralphie, who's an adult, who's a father now. So it's being told from his perspective. He has a classical narration going on too from like the original movie. So I like this movie. I liked the way it was set up. And I like the way it was telling a story, and it just made you think about life, and it made you think about being an adult, being a parent, and things like that. So those were kind of things I liked about it, and just giving us this story. Just a simple Christmas story about this family and all that, and what goes on at Christmas. And it's definitely a relatable story on things that could happen during Christmas time and the holidays. So the big surprise for me was how much I actually liked it, and I really did like it. Another movie that was a surprise this year for 2022 was The Menu. Now, this was a movie that I knew of, but it wasn't really necessarily on my radar to like check out and watch. But I heard just a little buzz about it. A couple people talking about it, so I decided to go ahead and check it out. And I gotta say, this movie was definitely something I wasn't expecting to actually be intrigued by. It was definitely interesting. It was definitely intriguing. The whole concept of this movie, dealing with this restaurant, dealing with the food, and dealing with like the artistry of like cooking and being a chef and things like that. It was definitely intriguing and interesting, and just the way the movie was. I was definitely surprised by it. I was surprised mainly because how much I actually kind of liked it. Like I said, it was intriguing, it was interesting, and it was definitely a surprise for me. Moving on to the next movie, and this one is probably going to be the last movie on the surprise list, and that's going to be Barbarian. This was another movie that wasn't really necessarily on my radar to check out. Like I really didn't. I saw like I didn't really see a full trailer. Like watch all the trailer. I saw a trailer like it pops up as an ad, and I saw like a little bit of the beginning part of the trailer. So it wasn't really movie I checked out right away whenever it came out. I really didn't check it out until like recently, like about maybe a week and a half ago. Really, it just the buzz around it. A couple of people talking about it. I hear them talking about it, and that's basically what made me, check out the movie. I didn't watch a trailer for this movie. I didn't watch clips or anything like that, so I didn't really know what this movie was about necessarily. I mean, just a little snippet. I knew something about the movie. That's it. But other than that, I went in blind to this movie, and I gotta say, the surprise for me was that this movie was unexpected. Like, whenever you think that you have an idea of what's going to happen, it switches it around and does something else. And it was just intriguing. It was creepy. It was different things like that. Yeah, so like the big surprise of this movie was basically the story that it was telling. And like I said, like once you think you have an idea or know or kind of figuring out what's going to happen or what you think is going to happen, switches it around and does something else. And and it's just unexpected and stuff like that. So that's one of the things that surprised me about this movie. All right, moving on to the next list, we're going to go into movies that kind of disappointed me. Now, this one's a little bit shorter than the previous surprise list, so I'm going to try to run through this. Let's go ahead and start off with the obvious movie this year that everybody was pretty much disappointed with, and that's going to be Morbius. Need I say more? Seriously, need I say more? This movie was a big, huge disappointment, and I don't know. Is there anything I could say that hasn't been said about this movie already? Like, just a lot of things were bad about it and stuff like that. It's a huge disappointment for this year. So I'm gonna move on. A lot of people have said enough already. So next up on this list is going to be a movie that wasn't really super disappointed with. It was only certain aspects that I was slightly disappointed with. Disappointed with. Overall, I like this movie. I enjoy watching this movie, but of course there was a couple of things in there that I was like, I think they could have done a little bit better, and that's going to be Thor: Love and Thunder. Like I said, it's not a huge disappointment. It's just a slight disappointment with just certain things. They really put the comedy out there. Like they really put I don't know how to say it. I'm sorry. They really leaned into the comedy in this one more than they did with Thor Ragnarok, which is fine. It has some funny things going on with it. But then on the back half and things with like gore, I think they could have done a little bit better job. I think now Christian Bale as Gore was amazing, incredible, but I think they could have used him a little bit more. I want them to use him a little bit more, and maybe we could have gotten more scenes with him actually butchering gods. We didn't really get that too much in this movie, and just having him become like just show us he's the more powerful villain and all that. And I think that's some of the things that I think they could have done a little bit better with the movie overall. Having this, they kind of had like a tonal shift in the middle of the movie and stuff, and just different things here and there. I wish they could have done a little bit better. Like I said, this movie's not really a big disappointment. It's just certain aspects and certain parts that I wish they could have done better. Other than that, I actually do kind of like this movie. I do have fun watching this movie, but like I said, just certain parts, certain aspects they could have done a little bit better for me. Next up on the list is going to be Halloween Ends. Now, I've spoken highly about this movie before in the past, and like I said, this one is not a big disappointment. It really isn't. This one is a slight disappointment. I like the movie still. I still like the movie. I still think it has a great story, but there's one thing that I was slightly disappointed with. I want to say it's a big, huge disappointment, but slightly disappointed. Something I think they could have done better. It was giving us this more epic finale of Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers. They put that, like, you see clips and you saw the trailers, they put that at the forefront that this was the finale. This is going to be the finale of Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers. And that's not really what they gave us. Well, they gave it to us a little bit in the ending part, like the last 10, 15 minutes or so of it. They gave it to us. But the rest of the story, and I've spoken on this, I think the movie is not a bad movie at all. I like what they were able to do with the story with Corey, and I think it's a great story that they did with Corey. I think it's a great story, and like I said, I think it's a story they could have used for another movie, not this movie. They shouldn't, in my opinion, they shouldn't have used that story for this movie. This movie should have specifically been Laurie Strode versus, or the finale of Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers. I still like the movie overall and stuff like that. But like I said, this movie should have been the finale of Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers. We didn't get that to the very end. And I was saying how the core story is really good, and they should have just used that for another movie and made this movie the focus. The focus of this movie, Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers for the final time. That's what they should have done with this movie. Like I said, this movie's not a big disappointment, but it just has that slight disappointment with that certain aspect that I wish they would have done more with the finale of Laurie Strode versus Michael Myers. Next up on the list is going to be Jurassic World Dominion. Now, the thing about this movie was, I know a lot of people will bash on Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom, but to be honest, I don't think that movie's bad. But the way they ended it off, and they're giving us this little teaser for the next movie, dinosaurs roaming the earth, roaming around the world. So I was excited for it. I was like, dang, that's an interesting concept. We're going to get dinosaurs around the world. Maybe they're going to have to go hunt them down. They're going to have to go look for them and things like that. The movie they gave us with Jurassic World Dominion, they gave us a story about, at least the majority of the movie, if not half or more than the movie, a story about locusts. That's what they decided to go with, a story about locusts, and they did not give us enough of that dinosaurs roaming the earth, roaming around the world. We had to go capture them, we had to go hunt them down, something like that. They didn't give us enough of that. Plus, you had the return of the Golden Trio from the original Jurassic Park movie. Did not live up to the hype of what I wanted it to be. Like I said, the story-wise too, where we should have gone dinosaurs roaming the earth or around the world. Show us that. Don't have us just stranded to one compound that they went to, whatever. Actually have us travel the world, seeing these dinosaurs on Earth, around the world, and all that stuff, and having a Golden Trio along for the ride too, and stuff like that. That would have been so much better. But they give us a story about locusts, and then going to this compound, just being there the whole time. I was disappointed with this movie. I really was. Like, by the end of this movie, after watching it, I was like, I didn't feel like it was epic enough. I didn't, considering that this might be, it's most likely not going to be the last Jurassic Park, Jurassic World movie, but you're giving us this ending to this specific story. I just wanted it to be epic. I left the theater and I was underwhelmed. I was underwhelmed with it when I left the theater, and I just wish they could have done more with this movie. All right, moving on to the last movie on this list. Now, this is one movie that it's not a big disappointment. Like I said, it's just a slight disappointment, but not really a big disappointment. There's just certain aspects I wish they could have done a little bit better. And that's going to be Samaritan. This is the this is the Sylvester Stallone led superhero movie. Basically, he's a older superhero, kind of retired superhero, basically. So I like how he was in this role. Like, I like him in this role. I just wanted a little bit more from the movie overall. You get this certain aspects of this movie I wanted a little bit more from. You got a villain that's kind of forgetful. You got some other story aspects that they could have done a little bit better. The reveal or plot twist, whatever, was definitely kind of obvious. I wish they could have hit it a little bit more. So certain things like that, just certain little aspects like that. But I did like Sylvester Stallone as this retired superhero. I like him in this role. It fits him well, and he did a good job with it. But like I said, this movie's not a big disappointment or anything like that. This is actually a passable movie. Like, it's a passable, fine movie. Just certain aspects I wish they could have done a little bit better. But overall, the movie's not bad for me. It's a passable movie. But like I said, just certain things they could have done a little bit better for me. All right, so that's going to be the end of this video. I know it's probably a long video. But yeah, those are my biggest surprise movies, and also my biggest disappointment movies of the year of 2022. Be on the lookout for the next video whenever I put out the top 10 movies of 2022 and my favorite movies of 2022. That's going to be coming pretty soon, so be on the lookout for that. Other than that, that's going to do it for this video. Definitely let me know down in the comments below if you had any big surprise movies of the year or any movies that you were disappointed in watching this year. That's going to do it for this video. Hope you all enjoyed it. Remember, if you want to be a part of Team Legendary, all you got to do is subscribe and turn notifications on so you know when I post another video. Hope you all have an awesome day. And remember, be legendary.